All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful day. The most exciting week for earnings continues, and tomorrow morning we're waking up to GM, Verizon, 3M, GE, Spotify, Nucor, Alaskan Airlines, and even Nextera Energy. But we had a lot of drama today that we need to talk about, and there are a lot of different plays that we need to go over. So actually, I need you to like the video. I hope I see you on stream, youtube.com/the stock market, but I have a very important update. I do not know if you are aware of this. I have to get rid of, we're going to talk about wheat, we're going to talk about Intel and all of that, but if you did not know, Snapchat is reporting tomorrow and Meta reports on Wednesday. So that's all I'm going to say. But if you know why, this is breaking news. I'm telling you now so you know. This has a lot of implications. We will talk about it tomorrow, so I hope I see you on stream. But in all seriousness, Chad, there's a lot on the table. And even then, let's just get into what happened today. I have a couple of things. So I just had wheat and corn up there. We did close out of the corn play, but there was an attack on Danabe, I don't know how to say it. It was a Ukrainian river port, and that's why corn and wheat went up, and even wheat went up to limit up, meaning that it couldn't go higher on the trading day after reaching like 8 or 9%, and they even announced that starting tomorrow, they're raising that limit up price by 90 cents. So this moved it. I got out of the play after we got a nice little gain, but there was that in the morning. That was some of the drama, but this is what I really want to talk to you about in this rate cut dilemma, because this is what we need to talk about with the Fed this week. So I'm showing you the calendar today. We could even talk a little bit about tomorrow, but what happened today is that we had our PMIs and then the PMIs out in Europe, and they all pretty much came in bad. Now, if you look at it on the front numbers and how they came in consensus wise, it looks like manufacturing did a little bit better than consensus, and then services did a little bit worse. Doesn't seem like too big of a change, but the thing that people were tripping out on was the prices paid. Now, usually I wouldn't care too much about this, but why I'm bringing this up here is because after the data, both in Europe and here, I didn't think the Monday data would move us, but surprisingly, it had a pretty big effect on the Fed futures today, and all of the rate cuts that we showed on the watch list yesterday, they got quickly priced out of the market, and now we are pricing in a hold even to January. So after tomorrow's rate hike, the market is now pricing in no more rate cuts. So that's what happened today, but that's exactly what I want to talk about now. I hope you understand what was said and what we are dealing with this week. So we're going to talk about plays. I even made a little biotech play after hours, and there's a couple of other plays here for earnings that are going to be very exciting. But on Wednesday, we are getting Jerome Powell. I'll even say now what I'm about to show you. This is also why I just had the calendar up, because tomorrow we're getting the Red Book. That's for retail sales. Then you're getting the House Price Index, then the Conference Board of Consumer Confidence, and then the Richmond Fed, and then a bond auction. But the fact was, this PMI data had a pretty decent effect on the Fed futures, and maybe it was the data, or maybe it's this close to Powell, either or. But keep in mind, maybe if we see this same effect tomorrow, you might be able to spot things a little bit ahead of time. So that's why I'm showing you this, and this is even the data for tomorrow. But back to Jerome Powell, he is going to be on Wednesday, and like we talked about yesterday, everybody is under the impression that Powell will be raising rates tomorrow, and that will be the final rate hike of this whole entire cycle. Now, why I am calling this the rate cut dilemma is because you have to understand the whole entire market is saying, and I kind of believe it too, that the next rate hike will be the final one. Why is that a problem? Because Jerome Powell, the SEP, and the Fed has recently said there is at least 2 more rate hikes on the way. So that's the first problem with all of it, right? But now here is the other problem, and what makes today's movement so interesting. The second problem is usually once we are done raising rates and you do have a pause, it is usually a quick cut within 60 60 to 90 days usually, sometimes even 30, sometimes a little longer, but I believe it's about 60 to 90 at the median. I've showed you that cool little chart over last year when a lot of people were talking about this. So this is the next part of the dilemma and why today was so interesting, because you have the market really believing that there is one more hike and then done, even though the Fed says no. But even as data could show that, again, the PMI and prices paid going up, that's why people are saying we had this reaction. Anything related to inflation going up, that's going to more likely keep inflation expectations higher. But once again, the Fed futures and bond market is doing and saying this weird thing where they pretty much believe half of the Fed. And that's what I'm trying to highlight here, is that ironically, no matter what the data ahead of Powell says, and we'll see how this reacts to Powell, but what the Fed futures are showing you is like, yeah, okay, today now they don't believe the rate cut, even though you're getting to the event where now you would actually be the closest to the rate cut. It's like 50-50. They believe half of the rates, but not all of it. And then they don't believe that an imminent cut will happen, but then they kind of just believed it yesterday. So it's creating this dilemma, and we even talked about it last time, even at the last meeting. If that really was the pause, how come people didn't really react like it was, but all the way into the pause, it's like people were more excited. So keep this in mind. This is why, even in the midst of it, Powell in the Fed will be very important, but also if they buy time and kind of brush it off and nothing changes, they get the market to get one more rate hike in there, and then the next hike is all data dependent for August, September, then there you go. We're going to do that for a whole nother month and a half. So this is what I think is interesting about this whole week, even the movement today. But now, besides any of the other stuff, it is time for the earnings. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, like we have talked about, here are the earnings. I did make a play on Whirlpool. I know I'm a sicko after hours on a Monday or Friday. I don't like the Monday, Friday earnings, but they actually did decent. They did a pop and lock. We'll see how that plays out. But all of these companies in the morning, telecom to autos to 3M and even a little bit of tech, that will give us a little bit to chew on. I don't think the data should be as important, but the Fed futures want to play this back and forth game. Maybe it ends up being a little bit more important. Other than that, though, I will look for sympathies. If you get any big moves out of any of these in the morning, like even 3M or Verizon Ford, we've seen a lot of big reversals from pre-market to open. Those are always great post-earnings plays. So I'm going to be looking out for those. And then really after hours, the Microsoft, Alphabet, Snap, Visa will be a decent one. Even Teladoc, that one also has a lot of hype around it, but I will go over the plays on Microsoft and Alphabet. But realistically, if Snap is reporting above Meta, that just changed the whole entire value of all of the Meta plays. Pretty much, you're going to get an earnings move on Meta tomorrow after Snap, and then it's going to report and then do a whole nother earnings move again. It's weird because we want Snap to be behind Meta, but I mean, welcome to 2021. We'll find out. Who knows? But that's the quick rundown of it. And just also keep in mind, after tomorrow, if you want to play any of these that are pre-market, AT&T, Boeing, Coca-Cola, Tilray, Thermo Fisher, Hilton, and then keep in mind travel for any of the other travel plays, you have to do that before the bell tomorrow, all right? But that's the earnings breakdown. And now let's talk a little bit about the earnings before I get into any of the other plays, because something happened today that kind of sucks. Pretty much, even though stocks went down, your puts went down. So the earnings run up, we've been talking about it. And what the earnings are saying is that maybe the last couple days earnings run up was too much. But, oh man, where'd it go? But here's Amazon. And you can see today was down 0.8. But the options that we had that were going up on Friday, they actually went down in value. So they had more value on Friday, even though the stock kept going lower. So sadly, the same thing applies for everything. Google had an up day. The option lost 100% of its value there. The Metas, they're a little bit up from when we bought them, but even Meta was down like 1.5% today, but even the puts went down. So if you go to the option chain, you'll probably notice, I think both puts and calls, it was just scattered all over the place in terms of what actually went up. So that was very unfortunate. The Microsofts, they were already dead on arrival, but that's something we noticed about earnings, and we were just talking about watch out for all of these premiums. So tomorrow we're going to see, I'm going to have to get rid of the Meta or the Microsoft and the Alphabet. So what I'm going to decide with these two plays, since now they're pretty much break even, we'll close out before the bell tomorrow. If we're down on them, we could still take the loss. I may hold on to one or two, depending, maybe one Google, one Microsoft. Otherwise, if we do have a good gain, it might be smart to just book it and then walk away. So those are the earnings plays for tomorrow that we're actually in. As far as any other plays for tomorrow, I actually got 3 different ones, and I'm going to start with ENZ. This one's just weird. I bought 2,000 shares after hour. They announced that they sold one of their units, or their laboratory unit, for $115 million. But what caught my attention is that the market cap of this company is only $76 million. And then I was like, okay, how much debt do they have? It's $20 million. Gives them like an enterprise value of like $50 million. So pretty much they made more than what they're worth now. The only problem, they burn like $15 million a quarter, and they don't really make that much money. So I think it could be a hype play, but decided to throw in a play here that is not related to earnings. And I have been grabbing a couple of these. I've been liking the biotechs for some of the more riskier small cap plays, because sadly they have been hitting, but I tend to get the ones that don't hit. So we'll see how it plays out. But we did actually close out of RXRX today. That one was like a nice 30-40% today. And even though the Google options went down, we closed out of those Google shares for 400. But those are also some other plays today. ENZ is going to be the first play. Then Intel. I made a play on this for shares today. They had some AI news, but this one simply a pre-earnings run up. I grabbed 500 shares at like 34.09 or 34.03, like right at the break there. They had AI news, no real reaction, but earnings on Thursday. If anything goes good, they're either going to sell off in earnings and we book the loss before they report, or it runs up and then we could sell out, kind of like Google, because they report tomorrow. Again, we played that Thursday, Friday. We were able to get out of it here today. So that's the play with Intel. Going to be riding that. And then the final play, corn, baby, or wheat. So I sold out of my corn play, took like $2,000. And again, that port was kind of, the port getting destroyed is what made things run up today. I'm going to be looking for the double dip. I think if you are willing to take risk, this thing can go crazy. I want to play a lot of earnings plays. I think we literally caught it off the bottom. So this was a great enough move for me. And I will look for the double dip. Essentially, I think today got a little bit of war premium. It's already ran up a little bit. It was kind of being all volatile there. If it does come back around higher than what I paid, but not necessarily where I paid, I might be down for another play. But this time I might even go for the wheat instead, because that one has also been volatile and it's been moving up a little bit more. But there has been updates. I am now out of that play, so we're going to be seeing. But that's the final play. If I'm going to give you anything else, just watch out for the yen YCL. We've been talking about it, and it ended the week with, okay, Friday inflation went up, but the Bank of Japan said no, no, no. Well, today the yen was up a lot, then it came down, but it still ended up stronger. And the news was that now apparently there's a rumor the Bank of Japan at this meeting is going to raise their inflation target to like 2.5. So it would be a change, and it could be in the step of that direction. But it's an interesting counter to the negative news we saw after the rumor brought it all the way up. So still riding that out. But again, Friday, that's going to be huge. You also have the ECB, then Powell, then all the earnings. But Chad, that is everything. I hope you're ready, but make sure watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. Oh, and I need you to remember, you become what you think about. What have you thought about this first half of the year? What are you going to take it to the second half, bro? It's already the end of July. I'm telling you, before you know it, it's Halloween, then Christmas, Thanksgiving, all that. But Chad, focus in the mind. Focus on a plan. Stick to a plan. Save the 10%. But Chad, you've already came this far. But that's why I'm saying you already know it's earnings, baby. Stay in the game. I love you all, Chad. I will see you in the morning. Have a good night. God bless you. And woosah, woosah, airs, woosah, relax, woosah. Did they know woosah? I don't think they know woosah. Is this weird? It's not weird, bro. It's not okay. Horde.